Okay.
Thank you. Calling this meeting to order, please rise for the flag of the group. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law. This meeting of March 25, 2024 was included in the list of meetings noted sent to the Hunterdon County Democrat and Courier News on January 3, 2024, posted on the bulletin board in Borough Hall and State, and has remained continuously posted as required. In addition, a copy of the notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the Borough Clerk. Can I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Sorry, thanks.
Okay.
Councilwoman Bowles. Here. Councilwoman Fasora. Here. Councilman Levitt.
Here.
Council President Long.
Here.
Councilman Parker.
Here.
Council Vice President Rosado.
Rossetti.
Rossetti. Rossetti.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, I'm gonna turn you up. And Mayor Carroll.
Here. We have no presentations. My mayor's report is actually kind of scattered into this agenda, so I'm gonna pass on that. Council member reports, Council President Long.
Oh, yeah, hi, good evening. I only have a couple of quick things in our fire department related. So far this month, 18 calls. I'll have more to share next time. And then a reminder, we have the annual flower sale going this week, starts Thursday from 10 to 5, and then Friday, same time, 10 to 5, and then Saturday, the 30th, it's 10 to 3 p.m. And that's it for me this evening.
Thank you. Council Vice President Rossetti.
Thank you, Mayor. Shade Tree, they are holding their annual Arbor Day event at Rifus on the 26th, so they'll be planting another tree there. They're also participating in an Earth Day celebration of sorts on April 20th over at Echo Hill Park. There's going to be some kids' crafts and activities there. So lots of good things going on there, and that's all I've got for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman Engelhardt.
Yeah, very quickly, there is going to be a Community Park cleanup for Earth Day on April 21st from 12 to 4. So look out for advertisements for that. We're thankful that several organizations are going to be supporting us with that, including Habitat for Humanity. We had a successful event last Friday at the Fleming House, where we hosted yet another new school. And that's one of our charters, is to be an education magnet. So we were thrilled to host them. And if there's anybody that has any student groups that are interested in touring the museum house, we are happy to host them to be with them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Sorrow.
Excuse me. Wonderful event previous Saturday at the library for the Makers Day. Was really excited to see all of the different makers come in and do a little bit of participation with that. In light of the heavy schedule we have this week, I'm going to delay my report on the planning board for our next meeting, and that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Levitt.
There was an HPC meeting last Wednesday. Tickets for the historic house tours are going to start being sold on April 6th, and the HPC is looking for volunteers to help run it. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Parker.
Only one thing, I don't have an actual report, but I just want to thank DPW Mike Campion and his team working along with FCP to get all the signs down, so they're officially all down. I really want to thank them. That was a huge effort.
Okay. I also just want to thank the fire department for their annual ladies' night dinner on Saturday night, and a number of us were there, and it was a really lovely event.
It was.
Okay. This is the first round of public comments. If you have a comment and your address, you need to come up to a microphone, say your name. Seeing none, there'll be a second one at the end of the meeting. Approval of minutes.
Long move.
Will be the council retreat January 27th. For a second,
oh, wait, hold on.
Parker second.
This is 227.
This is 127.
Councilwoman Parker,
Yes,
Councilwoman Engelhardt. Oh, we don't have to do roll call.
no, all in favor?
Aye.
Regular session February 12, 2024. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Parker second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Executive session February 12, 2024. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Parker second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Regular session February 26, 2024. Is
We'll move.
there a second?
Sorry, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're on, consent agenda number 10 on the agenda. Resolution 2024-53, community fund general yard sale dates. Resolution 2024-54, resolution approving participation for safe and secure grant. Resolution 2024-55, resolution authorizing a refund for $400 for permit fees to Turkey Enterprises. Resolution 2024-56, resolution appointing a new member of the CERT team. Resolution 2024-57, resolution requesting permission from the Director of Local Government Services to anticipate the 3-year average current tax collection rate of 97.90% for the year 2024. Does anybody wish to have something taken off the consent agenda or a separate vote? Seeing none, can I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So move.
Is there a second?
Was that a second?
Roll call.
She did. Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yeah,
You and your vote.
Councilwoman Pissarro.
Yeah.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker.
She said yes.
Yes. Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
okay. Can you knock on the door
Hey,
and
Bill.
get our CFO?
Barely.
We're ready for you, sir. Welcome, our CFO, Bill Nance. Tonight we're introducing our budget, which is called a budget resolution, just to confuse everybody, because it's actually an ordinance, because it requires 2 readings. What? Okay. Bill, do you want to explain for the public what you sent the council by email about how the tax rate has changed based on the state audit of our budget?
Well, this was based on our auditors.
Or, I'm sorry, our auditors.
And the, we
We
received, additional state aid from the last time we talked, plus we received the grant for the safe and secure that you have on the agenda. So that basically those 2 things reduced the amount to be raised by taxation, which reduces your tax rate.
So now the percentage is,
The tax rate increase is 2.02%,
and it was supposed, they had voted for
2.5.
2.5 and it's 2.02.
02.
One of the things that Bill pointed out to me, I'm not sure what was in that email, was regarding our shared services with Raritan Township. You want to tell them about that?
Yeah, so one of the things that,
It's like a really bad unintended consequence by the state legislature.
so since we did a shared service for our court, that is now allowed to be outside of the appropriations cap. So when I put that in there, I didn't realize the auditor told me this, that we would have to do a cap-based adjustment. Meaning by putting it out of cap, you had to decrease your cap, so we were actually like 150,000 over the appropriations cap doing that. So I put it back in, he said it's actually, if we can, it makes more sense to just leave it in cap. And, that way you get that 3.5% increase every year. So I did that, just left it in there, so then when, we were able to maintain under the appropriations cap.
Right, the state encourages shared services and then they make this crazy difficult. So,
I mean, that would be just a one-shot thing, it wouldn't have mattered for next year, but it would have hurt us this year.
right. I did call our senator to discuss this with him to see if he wanted to address this legislatively, but I haven't heard back from him. So, it should be an easy lift for the legislature to fix this, because they do try to encourage your services, so. Let me ask for a motion to introduce the resolution.
Long move.
Is there a second?
Perfect.
Okay, any discussion, any questions for Bill?
Just as far as the auditors, this was our borough auditors, not
Borough
the
auditors,
state.
yeah.
I meant our state audit, not the audit by the state.
Right,
Got it.
so I have to send it to our auditors first, and they go over everything. They make sure everything, we have enough money for debt service, everything matches the AFS. And, so once, now after you introduce it, then I will send it to the state for them to do their audit.
Any further savings or after that? I mean, did we catch this? Is there anything else to catch?
Well, so it wasn't really a catch, it was,
Mhm.
after our last meeting, the state put out their state aid figures, so that's when I got it and I had to change it. And that's when I also got the email from the state that we were getting this grant, so I figured, okay, let's do it all now and it'll save us money. But yeah, it wasn't that really that the auditors caught it, it was just at the time when we were doing this.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's it. Thanks.
Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
I'm sorry, what exactly is the motion that we're voting on?
To introduce the budget resolution, to introduce the budget resolution.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
Council Vice President Rossetti. Yeah,
Can you hear me? Yes.
All right, so the public hearing is going to be on
April,
April?
Yeah.
Oh, the second meeting in April.
yeah, 22nd.
April 20, what?
Second.
April 22?
Something like
Do
that.
So unlike most ordinances, budget resolutions have to sit longer than regular ordinances, so that the public has access to see. So that is the reason it has to be what?
28 days.
28 days by law, so April 22nd, public hearing on the budget resolution. Okay, if you don't mind sticking around a little longer, thank you. Just so we get through like all the stuff with the police department. Okay, we have public hearing ordinance 2024-02, an ordinance amending chapter 35 entitled taxation of code of the Borough of Flemington to impose a municipal occupancy tax of 3% on hotels, and other transient accommodations. Can I have a motion to open up the public hearing?
Well, we moved.
Is there a second?
Sarah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is now open. If anybody has any comments or statements to the council, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
On the move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any discussion? I was gonna say, I was really glad to see the article in TAP saying how all these other municipalities that have this tax and how much your township is bringing in, so it was good information. All right, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Oh, did I do a motion to, did do a motion to?
Yes.
Closed it.
Close it, did I do a
Yeah.
motion to adopt?
adopt, no,
I didn't, right?
No.
I have a motion to adopt, please.
On the move.
Is there a second?
Perfect.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Rossetti.
She say yes?
Did you say yes?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2024-03 for introduction. Calendar year 2024 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget cost of living allowance to establish a municipal cap rate when the COLA is equal to or less than 2.5% NJSA 40A:4-45.14. Bill, can you please explain to the council what and the public what this is?
Yeah, so this allows us to increase the in-cap appropriations by 3.5% over last year's adopted amount. And any amounts that we do not go up to that amount, we're allowed to bank the difference to be used in the next couple of years of budget if we had to go up. So, you know, like we currently have like, $50,000 banked from prior years that we could use for the next couple of years,
We do this every
every year.
year. Can I have a motion to introduce?
On the move?
Is there a second?
Engelbart will second.
Any other questions for Bill? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro.
Yes.
Councilman Levitt.
Yes.
Council President Ong.
Yes.
Councilman Parker.
Yes.
And Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Mike Campion is online. Is he on mute or do you have him on mute?
You can.
He can unmute himself. Okay. I asked him to join us tonight regarding the introduction of ordinance 2024-4 and ordinance amending chapter 11-2.6D entitled Water Reservation Application and Contract. So when we have a development or any kind of building happening, the applicant has to apply for a water reservation, and our current administrative code allows them to sit on that for a year and not use it and then apply for more. So, for example, in the case of the Spice Factory, which when they first came to the planning board, never indicated that they were going to be a phased project and do a second phase. They've been sitting on a water allocation and have requested more water, even though they haven't used the current water. And under the law right now in this town, we have to give them more, even though they haven't started building it. They actually applied while they were still at the planning board. So this would require anybody doing any development in this town to use up their first allocation before getting a second one. I asked Mike to join us so he could address the fragility of what is literally our most precious commodity in this town, which is water. Mike, you wanna just talk about the water situation and all the building and the reservations that we have right now?
Sure, Mayor. Thank you. What we're trying to eliminate here is investing in our water system without recuperating some of the promised projects that are supposed to go in. Our biggest applicant for the planning board at the time was Cut Glass. We invested in the ball field well 6, in anticipation of them coming in and building. It never happened. So we invested all that money, promised them the water, and they never built. So with all that increase in infrastructure, the current ratepayers were paying for that. We did not return any cost on our investment. Now, with the Spice Factory, that was phase 1, they were promised water. But not for phase 2. That's the second developer there. The first developer only needed water for one project, and then the second developer came in, never told us it was going to be 2 phases. So currently they'll be sitting on, I got their total amount here. They will be sitting on our water for 5,063 gallons per day that we're not selling any water to them. And this is what we're trying to eliminate with the change in the current ordinance.
And one of the concerns, Mike, when you and I and Josh talked about this, is that we have 2 other sites where we could build wells. Then we're out of sites. And with the encouragement of the master plan and the pushing of so many housing units, at this moment in time, one of our wells crashed and died. We'd have enough water for all of our current residents, but not Liberty Village or the 2 Agway sites, just the current users that are here. Did I get that right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, somewhat, Mayor. The way DEP calculates our criteria on what we can sell. After 9/11, they had this thing called a resiliency program. And they call it firm capacity. So during peak demand over a 3-year average, we have to be able to produce all that water per day, taking out our best producing well, and then times that number by 3. It's really aggravating because we do have a lot of water. The way the DEP calculates it and cuts it by a third, we do not have a lot of water to sell. We have a surplus. I got to give you the 2002 numbers. Usually we get they're always a year behind. So 2023 we'll get in June. But under 2022 firm capacity calculations, confirmed with the DEP, we have 29,000 gallons of surplus water we could sell per day. It is not a lot. It's not. It may sound like a lot, it's not.
No, you said Spice Factory was 5,500 gallons a day just there.
Correct. Now, we get a dry summer, everybody's watering the lawns, the gardens, kids playing in the sprinklers. That 29,000 gallons per day can be wiped out.
Does anybody have any questions for Mike about this?
I do.
Go ahead.
Mike, over, gosh, the last 20 years, there's been a few times that the state purposely permits extensions of permitting due to, they did it over COVID, they did it over the Great Recession, where projects that were approved, the permitting on those projects were extended by law. Like if they had 3 years to build by approval, normally they were allowed another, 2 or 3 more. And as you know, they actually come in front of the planning board and they have to formally ask for an extension, but you're obligated to do it if you're under that timeline by law. I guess my question is, does this ordinance address that possibility? But, does this ordinance apply if the state's requiring extensions on permitting for whatever reason, whether it's economic or pandemic or any other thing we can't think of? Does this ordinance have any clause to take that into account, number one? And number two, if it doesn't, I'm assuming any extensions by the state still apply. I just want to cover our butts. You know what I'm saying? I don't want us to be not in compliance with whatever state mandates. Let's say 10 years from now, we have a recession and the state puts in a mandate that we must extend permitting for 2 years. Will we be in compliance with the state law without, I don't see a clause in here that maybe addresses that.
So I can answer this. We can't override the state of New Jersey. They're the higher
Right.
government. So it depends on what they legislate. They may legislate just planning board permits, land use permits, and not water and sewer permits. There are very few water companies in the state of New Jersey that are private like we are. So it's unlikely that they would do that, but it's all depending on what they say and what they legislate. And we can't. It is what it is.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we don't get in trouble. Like, I want to make sure there's wording in here in case we do run into that issue.
They can always override us. They're the bigger government, always.
I guess as long as Chris feels comfortable with that, I'm comfortable with that.
I am. Yeah, Alex from my office looked at this in great detail. This is the way, as they
This is
said.
the way.
Mike, if you could say in just 1 or 2 sentences, What's the chief benefit to the current residents?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it.
Chief benefit of to the current residents if we pass this ordinance.
Again, Mayor, I couldn't hear it.
You might be able to hear me better because I'm online. She's asking for the chief benefit to the current residents if we were to pass this ordinance.
The current residents, it'll be status quo, but for any future development or expansion at the planning board level, we'll be better off because instead of these people holding on to our water without us recouping our investment, will not benefit the current ratepayers.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions for Mike?
Yeah, just so I'm 100% clear, I think I know, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So in the current state, so the Spice Factory developer right now has water sorted out, but for this other phase they're in, they don't have that water?
We haven't signed off on
We
it yet,
signed off.
but we have to. I mean, under our
Yeah.
current ordinance, we have to. We just haven't.
Okay.
If you remember, on the planning board level, the first thing we ask for from Public Works on an applicant is their Form A. And that dictates, water and sewer usage numbers that we get from the applicant's, team, whether it's the engineer or attorney. And currently we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 signed Form As from applicants. So that's 9 applicants that are gonna come to us for water and sewer. And may not have it.
And if this ordinance is in place, then, we're in a better position. If it's not in place, like Spice Factory's grandfather, this is not gonna affect Spice Factory, but it'll affect everybody else.
Correct. Now, speaking with Alex today by email, Alex Fisher, the attorney, I explained to him the same thing in the email about the Form As, which we do have for phase 2 from Spice Factory. However, once all their connection fees and any other fees are paid to the water department, then we offer a will serve letter by ordinance, which is good for 90 days. They'll have to reapply again. But Alex did catch something in our ordinance today, was if we offer a contract with the applicant, we don't, we just send that will serve letter. Alex was going to type up a contract according to our ordinance.
Very good.
You briefed me on this.
So it's in the ordinance that we're supposed to do a contract and we haven't.
That is correct, Mayor. We were doing will serve letters.
The governing body, Chris, gonna have to vote on all those, the resolution.
I don't know that, yeah, that clause, I mean,
I'm just
we
asking.
could, you know, that's something that you can put in as part of compliance. Yeah, sure. Discretionary, but sure.
Now, the only question I have, Chris, in the draft ordinance Alex sent out was completeness of the first phase. What's completeness? Is that a TCO, a CO? Does it have to be occupied?
So I would probably do that as a TCO, Mike. I would want to check with Alex, see if that was his view, but that was my view.
Can we put clarification in this ordinance?
Yeah, because it's gonna come back sooner or later with all the development that's about to happen.
We
That's
haven't
huge.
introduced, we haven't voted to introduce this yet, so we can introduce it with an amendment saying completeness, parentheses, a TCO.
Yeah, I
TCO
want to
is
go back
still
and,
really, really far down the line. I'm just a little hesitant that this is, that is a burden that I don't necessarily know is. I
Can somebody
wish
just
we
tell
could
us
find a
what
milestone a
Temporary,
little earlier.
temporary.
Yeah, temporary certificate of occupancy is a TCO, a certificate of occupancy is a, obviously.
Chris, let me
right.
ask you this technical question.
Sure.
Is it better if we wait for introduction until April 8th? So that you can put in the proper
yes,
language?
yeah.
So we'll table this until April 8th then. Let's finish our discussion.
Councilwoman Engelhardt raises an excellent point. Those it's just kind of far.
TCO is way down the
I
line.
want to check with Alex to probably a little more in depth on that because I think that because it's
Yeah,
earliest stop long haul.
What do you think?
But
it
it may
should
still
be,
be too late, so.
Mike, what do you think it should be? Hookup?
A TCO, Mayor.
Do you think it should be a TCO?
I just don't think that's
Earliest
realistic.
milestone, But I mean, Susan gives it a point. a good
Yeah,
valid
it's, I
point.
just don't think it's really realistic in any, whether it's a one, whether it's a small, one or, let's say it's a duplex somewhere, or whether it's a big development, I don't think that's realistic. A TCO is, 95 to 99% through your pay application. I think we should find it, like, maybe you could do some research to find maybe other ordinance that define, different phases of construction a little clearer. And this adds a lot of timeline.
Mike,
to
why do you
projects.
think it should be the TCO?
Past experience, Mayor, Raritan Township did allow us a TCO on our water tower project. Even though we still have to put the water line in on Shields and Pennsylvania Ave in the township. That takes time to put all that together.
But a public project is not a real good comparison to a developer that has that, then when they make certain milestones and, you're financing based on certain milestones that you've covered. This is really putting a huge financial burden on any development, small or big, because you're adding a huge amount of timeline. I am not opposed to this at all, but I think we really need to be careful about using the term TCO loosely. I'd really like to see what some other townships do before we finalize this wording.
So it's an excellent point. It may be that there is no other easier milestone before the TCO. But I agree with you, obviously. So we'll look at it. I texted Alex who's
I
covering.
think, can we agree that Alex Fisher from his office, who's an expert in this.
Water, sewer,
water,
anything that
sewer,
flows.
And cell tower issues.
And stuff.
And Mike Campion could come up with something in it, even if it's the TCO, if there's an agreement between the attorneys.
Yeah, there might not be any other practical.
And we'll introduce it on April 8th.
I texted him already. He's coming to me middle 6th tonight, but I'll chat with him tomorrow and just kind of tell him to do a little
Yeah. with Mike.
critical thinking on the issue. What?
We'll
Yeah,
with Mike.
there may not be. I mean, he may already thought of it. There may not be
Understood.
juncture like an offering.
Okay,
So we'll talk.
so this will be back on
I
the
think that
agenda.
you'll be fine with it in 2 weeks. I think
That's fine. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's great. I just want to make sure we're
Carla,
We're going
this
through.
back on the agenda for April 8th. Okay. Thanks, Mike. And
You're welcome.
then ordinance 5, an ordinance amending chapter 2 administration and 3 police regulations to clarify the event permitting procedure in the Borough of Flemington. So, Chris, you want to walk?
Sure.
Council through, I know that
Kudos to.
Brian Nally is here and Robin Lapidus is here and Carla, our clerk, is here. We'll all
Kudos
put
to-
fingers into this.
To the triumvirate of soon to be Sergeant McNally, our clerk, and Robin for doing the heavy lifting on this. We took their changes and conformed it to our current ordinance and added some clarifications. Corporal and I spoke earlier today, got some more clarifications, nothing in this particular document. Just makes it so I think the point is, and these those who are here can jump in, but I think that handling the very large events, Robin, Corn Tomato Beer, the other ones that happen to frequent this town, need a little more massage, need a little more steps along the way to ensure that the borough is covered, and safety protocols are met. So that this effectuates that. It's a significant expansion, but I think a good one. And you guys can hop in.
Sure. So, basically, it's been a culmination over the last couple of years of what we've been changing and practicing. So basically now it allows an applicant to come in, fill out what we've dubbed the short form, which is the permit application, reserve their date, get on the schedule, let the borough know, hey, we want to get started on the planning. If the event or festival doesn't require any borough services, the police chief can review it, the fire marshal can review it, the DPW director can review it. They all sign off, we can issue the permit and they can get going. If it requires additional expansive planning, meaning it's going to be a large scale event, it's going to be over multiple hours, it's going to require road closures, public safety resources, street sweeping, garbage services, we can issue a conditional approval, right? So that the event organizer can begin to advertise and plan and get all their stuff going while they're completing their additional event application packet for the public safety resources we're going to need, and start scheduling DPW employees, police officers, rescue squad services, and things of that nature. So that we can continue to collect that data and then work with the event organizer to ensure we have site plans and vendor lists. The big check and balance came from prior to this, an applicant would just go to the police department, pick up a packet, fill it out. The chief of police would look at it and would approve or deny the permit, and DPW may have never known of it. The fire marshal may have never known of it. Then vendors were coming to Borough Hall, filling out applications for fire permits and food trucks and everything else. And one entity wasn't talking to the other. Now everything will come to Borough Hall. It will start here. It will end here. So the clerk will intake the application. It will then be distributed out to police chief, the fire marshal, and the DPW director. They will gather whatever information they need. It will come back to Borough Hall. They will then reach out to the applicant and say, you're approved, or we need more information. And then once everybody's signed off, the final permit will come from Borough Hall, issued by the chief and the clerk. Chief signing off that all public safety issues have been approved and taken care of, and the clerk will be signing off that all the needed applications, permits have been pulled from Borough Hall and all fees have been paid. So it's a catch-all, and it kind of cleans up the process, makes it much cleaner for the applicant and for borough officials trying to plan the event.
So Brian, let me ask you a question. So what designates something that needs a permit and something that doesn't?
So any event occurring in the borough, we want a permit. So anything that's going to occur in a public space or public street.
So does that designate that when you say public street,
Mhm.
is it when you close off the street, or any event that is people are just walking up and down the street and it's more than, like, say, 20 people? Or
Correct. Anything that could potentially cause a traffic obstruction.
Yeah, so if they're walking down the street, then if they're there, we should be closing the street. We would have to close it in the right way.
So we had a radio show on the corner of Bloomfield and Main. They needed a permit.
Yes, because they're obstructing the side.
And what about a rally at the courthouse?
So rallies and First Amendment type events are kind of held a little bit different, right? We've had very good success with getting the event organizers to work with us over the years. Obviously, a First Amendment event, right? We can't stop you from organizing and getting your message out, right? But when we know the event is coming, we encourage the organizer, hey, just let us know, like, you know, who's the point of contact? Are you coming? Are you not coming? You know, because if it's going to rain that day and you decide you're not coming, and we're seeing it all over social media, just let us know, because then we can recall staff. We don't have to waste public works time. We don't have to waste the police time to come in and possibly staff the event. And most of our First Amendment events that we've had here, rallies, organizers completely understand that. We're able to reach out, speak with them, and they do play.
What about historic walking tour of downtown Flemington?
So we would ask
Society
for the initial permit application to be filed, because it's an event that's occurring, that's bringing the public in which, you know, they're going to be crossing streets, they're going to be on sidewalks. So
So
like
those tours that with the Spirit Gold
they apply for a permit.
for every single one of them.
They do. Yeah, and it's one permit with all the dates on it. And
okay, but more importantly, so there's going to be an event soon for kids, the Easter egg roll, and then there's something for Halloween.
Mhm.
Is that an event that needs to be? So I'm just trying to understand.
Right, so that fills out a
They
festival and event permit. short form, as we dub it, and that's just saying, hey, we're having this event on this date and time. That way we can hold the event date and it will be entered on the calendar. The organizer can apply for it, so we know that event is occurring that day. An event like that's not going to require a full application packet for public safety.
Right, but I guess my point of it is, because you guys get a calendar
Mhm.
of FCP.
Yeah.
So is there any other steps that we take to get stuff? I'm just trying, I'm a little bit concerned when it comes to kids.
Yep.
In public safety.
Right.
Right, so if you're having a bunch of kids.
Yep, and it's in a public place on a public street.
My concern
It's gonna require a
is
permit.
who's watching the store. So to speak, right? Okay, so that does,
Require a permit, yes, absolutely.
Are these applications available online?
Yes.
They will be starting tomorrow if this passes.
No. We gotta wait,
Oh.
it's an ordinance.
Okay.
So,
So,
why I want
so
to get it
everything's
going.
grandfathered in right now until that board, to this board.
right, we've been holding a bunch of applications pending this. We have 13 currently pending. So we're trying to get moving on this.
It would be nice to have what the rules are.
Yeah.
In writing.
Yep.
Because I had a conversation with Robin this afternoon and it, like, all of a sudden my antenna went up and going, wait a minute. That's that could be a public safety issue anytime you have kids
Mhm.
walking down a main street, whether they're with parents or they're on their own. or
Yes,
whatever.
we have a blurb already ready to go. I've already written it up for Carla. She has it ready to go to be published on the website. So there'll be an event section, it'll be right on the header. You click on it, it'll say whatever, whatever our blurb stated, which was if you're hosting a public event in this place, you need to fill out this form. This is the process. This is who it's going to go to. This is who's going to reach out to you. And if you need an additional application packet for public safety planning, it's here, download.
It's an event in the county behind the historic courthouse.
So the county park's a little bit different, right? Because they need to get commissioner approval for that. And we don't oversee that event. So what happens at that level, the applicant goes to the county, they get approval from the commissioners, that goes to Sheriff Brown, who then notifies the police chief that the event's occurring there. And then depending on where we're at with what type of event it is, then we would reach out to the organizer and say, hey, can you fill out our form too? Or is the sheriff's department handling it? Do we need borough services? But generally, since it's on county property, there's nothing we need.
I have a question regarding the timeline. Is there a way that will let event holders know, like if someone's, an organization has been having an event year after year and they're used to only requiring 30 days for their application and now we're bumping it up to 90 days, is there like an outreach that we can notify them, or will there be a little bit of leeway in the first year of transitioning, or how will that work?
Everything currently is at the discretion of the events committee, so this is by no means meant to be punitive, and we're trying to roll it out. For the most part, all of our event organizers that we have applications for October already for events. So we've been communicating that with our folks already, like, hey,
Okay.
new forms, we're already using the new forms.
For the people who've already done this before, is that correct?
Correct, and some new, that they downloaded the old forms, we've already sent them over the new forms, given them the guidelines.
What if this is on private property, like behind Blue Eagle in their
Private
property?
property, we have no,
The Liberty Village.
we have no control over. Well, Liberty Village parking lot's different, because that's considered quasi-public space.
Okay.
So we have authority over.
There, the language is in or upon any street, sidewalk, park, or other public place in the borough.
So
Doesn't call
public place. So what about if the library does something in their garden? And how,
so they might not need a permit because they're an appendage of the borough.
okay.
Or like the
borough
cleanup you
building.
mentioned earlier.
Borough wouldn't necessarily.
But I'm just gonna go back to what Liz is saying, because I think it's still important, and I'm not sure that it's given the answer that I think we need to get, and that is that I understand for those people who have been here before, been down this road before, but there's still some people who don't necessarily.
Okay, we'll do outreach, we'll social media.
I'm wondering
website.
I'm wondering if we should just put something out. Is it on the borough website that this
Not
this
It
is
will.
coming? And then, so I just think over communicating in this
Sure.
case is better than under communicating.
Yeah, and I'm sure we can put it out via the FCP. Robin and I actually already worked on a new flyer with what the protocols are to go out to the businesses and she has copies of the form she was going to attach, with her. Go ahead.
Some of this is a change though. Like, for example, with our Santa events, we never filled out a form about a permit. So, and I think with shopping events, we should just determine if those, you know what I mean? If we're having a progressive event that's mostly in shops.
We already sent permits in for your sidewalk sales.
I'm so glad.
So here's,
But we didn't for the Easter event because like with Santa, we haven't
that's my
been
point.
required for a permit.
That's exactly the
And we
point.
should because
That's
we'll get
exactly
the
the point.
services we need.
The point is consistency, right?
Right.
And you can't, I hear what Liz still goes, I'm going back to what Liz says, because is there a ramp up period? Is there da da da?
Sure, absolutely.
But if you start getting into exception here and exception there and exception here, you're gonna go down a rabbit hole you don't wanna go down. So it's all or nothing, right? So the bottom line is, here's the policy, here's the ordinance, here's what you have to do, done. Period. That's gotta be it.
How many, how many did we issue last year permits? Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. We have to go back and
I'm just curious to see how often they come into play.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maureen was very busy.
I know it's not a small number.
No, I'm saying 30 plus.
Yeah, at least I would think so.
So I just had a couple questions. So in the big events that require, let's say, for instance, police department, fire department, and DPW. The new kind of way we're gonna be doing this is everything funnels to you. And then it goes out to whoever is involved. So Turkey Trot, they would come to you. Corn of Beer, come to you.
Right, and then I would send them out to police, DPW, Maureen next door for
Okay.
everything.
We have a mailer list already set up, and basically they scan the permit in, goes to events in Historic Columbia, and it hits the inbox of the chief, the DPW director, the fire marshal. They respond back with their comments. It's all collected. Maureen gathers it all. If everything's approved by each of them, she'll just reach out to the applicant and say, you're approved, come down, pick up your permit, or we need additional information on X, Y, Z. And then once she gathers that information, it goes back out to.
So she's orchestrating it and facilitating.
Correct.
So it's
One point of contact.
Okay. And I wanted to frame that around like large scale events. So then small scale, let's say I want to have a block party.
Yep. So easy enough. You come down, you fill out the application. Carla sends it out. The chief goes, yep, we're good. Mike says, okay, you need barricades. We'll be happy. Bro will be happy. We'll drop them off the Friday before. Ken says, doesn't require fire marshal services. Done. Permits issued. Come pick it up.
What about like the plan sales, fire department's having, they have it out front.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't require,
Would not.
it's not a festival or event. It's a fundraiser.
Okay.
And my last question is, which brings me to this, why 90 days? And I know we changed it from 30, we're going 90. Is it because of like a large scale event like
90 for borough services, 90 days for borough services, 45 days if you do not require borough services.
Which is important because of people like police and overtime and all of that.
Yeah, and DPW scheduling, and a lot of these are over. Yeah, they're over holidays, they're over weekends, we need to have that. So if you don't require borough services, 45 days. And certainly, if there is an extenuating circumstance, the permit says right on it, it's at the discretion of the committee. So if somebody comes and goes, oh, we really screwed up, somebody did this and that, it's not meant to be punitive. Like, okay, fine, we'll work through it, but yeah, there's certain things that aren't gonna be able to be flexed depending on if you're trying to have a large scale event. We'll use Saucetober for an example. Saucetober came in and decided they were gonna try to have something the size of Corn Beer Tomato Festival on Stangel Road with 7 days notice. Not,
So is Liberty Village, not Liberty Village, Bridgeville Junction, are they considered quasi-public also?
the property itself is private. The parking lots surrounding Turntable Junction are quasi, correct?
You are.
Okay.
It's unusual.
So if he wanted to have something over there, he would not.
In
On-
its
on-
public
on-
space,
Side of it.
correct, inside the limits.
I think the definition in the ordinance, which we are not changing, is quite good. Broad enough, specific, I guess, the right, I think the sweet spot, but inevitably there will be some subjectivity. Councilman Booker, I agree with you, but there is some interpretation.
I mean, my only,
Well,
and
and
this is a concern that I'm not ready to do anything about, but my concern is hypothetically, let's say Turntable decided to do something inside their property and it was so big, it spilled
Well,
out.
that's
onto the
where I'm gonna
sidewalk.
correct myself. So if the property owner himself was going to host it, it would be considered a private event. If it is a event in which they are selling tickets to the public by a third party, that's where we could require a permit.
But what if one of their restaurants decided to have a festival out there and it just got so big?
Yeah.
It spilled out.
I definitely think we could require a permit.
We wouldn't know.
you would, and then there's a penalty provision.
Yeah.
Or you could, or there are several in other parts of the ordinance that would come into play, loitering. In the public right away.
And we have a pretty good beat on most of this, and I'll compliment Robin as well. Like, we're watching this stuff. Like, if somebody's having an event, she's gonna be like, hey, have you seen this? Like, we have these conversations all the time. Did you see this? Did you know this was going on? No, I didn't. Where did you see it? And we're doing that with other people in the business community. So like, we know these events are coming, and we will, we sniff them out. Yeah.
So, TAP reported on the Union Hotel project. And they reported that they're gonna be putting these enormous televisions out into the courtyard, right? So World Cup comes along and they have the big TVs up. And they've got a lot of people going there and it starts to get rowdy and spilling out. I mean,
That would be something we could shut down for not.
Enforcement.
Yeah.
It's clearly
I
enforcement.
mean, where does it go from a private property event to something that becomes something?
Well, so, that's where you gotta look at where does it become quasi-public from private. And, we can certainly we could always re-explore the ordinance with a gathering limit. If it exceeds this many people, but I think that's something we could
We'll
probably
watch it.
explore down the road.
That over the summer, there was some of those short towns that had like these scores of people coming in and the police had to get.
Oh,
So-
yeah, that's right.
But what we now is talking about the capping at a number, you can have they'll have the occupancy limits of the individual buildings, even in semi-enclosed spaces will come into play here, plus if they went right away.
But,
Like these
or
TVs.
it's in violation of our noise ordinance. I mean, we
Yeah.
have a.
Anything after 10 PM.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a whole, there's 6% overlays that would like naturally call this.
You've got some checks and balances.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You've got some checks and balances
So-
in the ordinance already. We trust our police to do the research, just like you were saying about, the rallies and stuff. You kind of know what's going on and you see some advertisement and, you can tell whether it's on private or public. I think there's checks and balances already in our ordinance. I don't think we should necessarily assume there's gonna be problems before there's problems.
no, I think it's good. I think it's good and it can be always.
Check back
You
in.
have a typo in your.
Ooh, let's fix that now.
It's just a little F, you've got double E's there at, section 1.
So,
You have plenty of time.
No, we have,
Minor.
well, that would be non-substantive. So I'll fix
Right.
that
I
eventually.
don't think it's crazy.
It's just a little thing.
Okay,
Really make it clear. So I think that, this is gonna be effective, well, right at the heart of the season, we look at it in a year and see what.
can I have a motion to introduce?
Long move.
Is there a second? Sarah, second. Is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yeah.
Councilman Levis,
Yes.
Council President Holm,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Jose.
Thank you. The
Yes.
public debt for April 8th. All right, thank you very much, for both Nally and everybody else, Ms. Chris, Robin, and Carla. All right, we're on to the regular agenda items, 14, number 10, resolution 2024-58. Award of contract to Wheeler Carpentry and Masonry, 274 President Street, Saddlebrook, New Jersey, 07663. For the police department phase 2A improvement project processing area and public toilet. We didn't put the amount on this, but it's 500 and. Is it in the word? Is it in?
Oh, it's in that resolution.
It certainly doesn't.
I like those money. For a total of $591,340. And Angela Gonzalez, who has been our architect consultant on this project, is online right now. I guess, can I have a motion on this resolution before discussion?
Long move.
Is there a second?
Parkinson.
Okay, thank you. Discussion on the resolution, just so you, I mean, we talked about the process in executive session, about what was, the deep dive that Angela, myself, and Chris Corsini did on Neola's background and responsiveness to be able to responsibly complete this project. They are the low bid for the law. And I don't know what else to say.
It was an exhaustive review.
It was an
In fact,
exhaustive.
We are up. They limited, I think that's not because of any lack of attention on this, I think it's because of an extensive review. I was discussing in executive session, you guys all know the ins and outs of it. And, I mean, I was certainly satisfied, Angela can speak with great, detail as well.
Angela, what, hi, Angela.
Hi.
Remember when they said that they would start on the project once awarded?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Do you remember when they said they would start the project once awarded?
I believe they said they would need 3 weeks to mobilize. But we can do other things to get things going in the interim, have a kickoff meeting, kind of set the expectations, and go from there.
All right, any discussion or questions for Angela? Or Neola? Seeing none, can I have a roll call, please?
Sure. Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yep.
Council Vice President Rossetti?
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2024-59, resolution amending resolution number 2023-144 to insert an updated not to exceed amount in the contract awarded for architectural services, Paul Sokolowski. Start towards design work for the Flemington Borough Police Station Improvement Project. Chris, do you want to please explain to the council what the
If I can,
Chris caught this?
So we did an extensive review, as you guys know, of this contract soup to nuts, and in that review, we discovered the not to exceed amount, the original award to Angela's firm, PSNS, contained a not to exceed amount that was, shall I say, a placeholder. It was not the accurate amount. Not only did it pass the council, it passed the minutes. It was pretty far along the line. Bill, to his credit, worked off of Angela's proposal. So thankfully, no harm, no foul. But this resolution will tidy up, and it will dovetail with the subsequent resolution, which will then engage the second part of Angela's proposal to supervise this contract, which is the document that Marcia circulated today and was also circulated. So just a little bit of a housekeeping.
Can I have a motion to adopt resolution 2024-59?
Move.
Is there a second?
Parkinson.
Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Long?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
Councilman Vice President Rossetti?
Yes.
I might cut off the call. I wanted to ask like where he was on the survey of the building, so that we can do the easement issue. Do you know where he is with the survey?
I
Bill,
can
by any
text him and
chance?
ask him.
Would you please? Okay, resolution 2024-60, resolution authorizing the award for architectural services to Paul Sokolowski and Sartor in the amount of $78,000, well, in the amount not to exceed $78,500 for design work for the Flemington Borough Police Station Improvement Project. And I believe it is not to exceed in that proposal. Can I have a motion, please? Is there a second?
Carpet service.
Any discussion? I just want to thank Angela for everything she's done, especially the hard work with the Department of Corrections. I mean, really, I think all of us were very clueless about what was going to be entailed in retrofitting to a police processing center. And it is, as we say, it is very complicated and it's not an easy
Yes. Yes,
project.
small but mighty.
All but mighty, and that the HVAC system is all very challenging. I just want to say thank you for all your diligence, and I know that your company will really know as Neil is working that they do it right, and that the DOC has no problem with this, so we can get back to a full police station with bringing in prisoners there and not having to bring them to another part of the town and have police officers split up on two sides of the town. It's very inefficient, very ineffective.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Thank you.
Oh, you're going to do a roll call?
No,
I don't think you made a motion.
Yeah, we have a motion.
yeah, I just wanted to thank Angela. That's all. A lot of work.
Thank you. You're welcome.
My motion.
Yeah, Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Abstain.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Yes.
Angela, can we ask that when they start, send us in either regular reports in writing or appear at least once a month to us and let us know what's going on?
I'm sorry, were you talking to me? I'm sorry.
After they really get rocking and rolling, could you please?
Oh,
either
yeah,
send
we'll have a kickoff and have nail everything down as to how the process is going to be.
either in person or in writing from you on where they are?
Nella?
Yeah, from you.
Yeah, well, they're informed now, right?
No,
No, I think we're talking about two certain things.
No, what I'm asking is that when they get going, that
Oh,
you
yes.
give regular reports on.
Oh,
their
yes. Yes.
Either in writing or in person,
Okay.
okay?
No,
Okay.
we'll be doing a report anyway, so you'll have those.
Great, okay, thank
You're
you so
welcome. You're welcome.
much.
Have a good night.
Why do we have to do this whole
Yeah,
night?
so maybe just try to make the mics move a little bit closer to you, because these mics pick up like direct.
Okay. I've never.
I noticed when you guys lean back, I can't hear like,
Okay.
on the audio.
Or if you're talking at each other,
Yeah.
then it's not gonna.
All right, resolution 2024-61, resolution appointing C, G, P, and H as the affordable housing agent. They are our current affordable housing agent. This is reappointing them so that if we have openings, they advertise to us and help select. Can I have a motion?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Rossetti.
Yes.
Resolution 2024-62, certifying compliance with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission enforcement guidance on consideration of arrest and conviction records and employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Bill says we do this every year. I don't remember. I guess I block it out.
Yeah, so, I'm thinking it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, the states required us to, do this when we introduce our budget. I don't know why, but
Okay.
Been at least 4 years.
Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council President Long,
Yes.
Councilman Parker,
Yes.
and Council Vice President Rossetti.
Just so you know, in the federal, you have to do the same thing every year,
Really?
every single year. Yes.
Yes.
Definitely with contractors and whole bit.
Yeah.
every year you
I'm
have
not
to-
sure I need you anymore, Bill.
Wait, Bill.
Yeah, I always need you, but I'm not sure we need any more.
Bill,
You will stay a little longer, great, okay. We have
With
two
voice
work
acting.
sessions tonight. The first one is regarding the Tuckamurgan Park BioBlitz. Gentleman sitting in the back. Came to an environmental commission meeting, and he is an aquatic biologist, correct?
Aquatic ecologist, aquatic biologist.
Okay, aquatic ecologist.
More or less the same.
And he is, putting on an event, Corporal, on the 22nd and 23rd of June, where he is looking for a number of locations, and he's currently, working with George Malone, regarding Walnut Brook. He's looking at North Main Street, where, Creek is down there. The county little park over here, owned by the county. And Tuckamurgan Park, where volunteers would literally be 24 hours counting and identifying every living creature, whether it's an insect or a fauna, not flora, right?
Well, we're doing flora too.
You're doing flora and fauna. Okay.
Bugs, plants, algae,
Okay.
everything.
So, he's here tonight, well, he's here tonight to hear the discussion about, the issue of doing it at the Tuckamurgan. Tuckamurgan, closes at dusk. It does not have any lights. So, I asked Carlo to look into, contact our insurance company regarding what would be required, you know, unlike, you know, the private properties or, the county park, it's well lit. And that's, you know, county park is their problem, but it's well lit. So can you, Carla, tell us what your research found regarding having this at Tuckamurgan after dusk and before sunrise? Is it impossible to do it, or is it so onerous, it's not possible to do
I
it?
would have to get the email.
Oh,
But, I will, do you have a card? Because I could send you what, our insurance company is looking for, and it's more than a certificate of insurance.
I don't know if I have one on me, but I can give you a number,
Yeah.
or an email address. I'll give you an email.
Because they have
that's a
what they
list.
have to provide,
So it's not just a
not
certificate
just a
of insurance?
certificate of insurance, they need it.
You wanna talk, you know, like, I mean, is this, I know you'd like to do Tuckamurgan Park, but it may be too onerous for you to do Tuckamurgan Park.
We can relegate Tuckamurgan Park to just daylight hour things. The idea with the 24-hour situation would be like a 12-12 thing, is that certain species are easier to find at night, because you hear frogs going at dusk and at dawn a little bit more. Some birds, some larger animals, if you're lucky, you might spot them. If it ends up being too onerous, we may just relegate it to the regular daylight hours. Is there an official time that Tuckamurgan Park closes, or is it just dark?
Dusk.
Dark. Okay. Okay.
But the county park can officially close all, right?
Officially, no.
Okay.
Could we understand a little more about what your organization is? Again, I apologize, your name again, and what exactly, is this, you know, the purpose of this?
So, my name is Jesse Smith. I am an aquatic ecologist, but, I'm actually doing this through Flemington DIY. This is gonna be a Flemington DIY based event. Some people I work with are gonna help out, but, basically a BioBlitz, and this is something that, I'm not sure how much it's actually been done in Hunterdon County, but you'll see it done like over, if you have a bigger park, you'll see it just under the park. It's really, you pick an area and you pick a time frame you do it in. And within that time, you get a bunch of experts and members of the community out. You try to identify as many different organisms as you can. And that can mean, again, that can mean bugs, fish, plants, anything you find. It's facilitated with the app known as iNaturalist. It's
I know there's a lot of apps now that can help you identify plants, but this was, to my knowledge, one of the first ones, and it uses a little bit of that, like, modeling to figure it out, but it also just posts it online and other people can help you identify what you're looking at. And it has kind of an internal module for doing vital blitzes, so it's a very convenient app for using that.
And what do you use the data for?
It's really just a cataloging. Now, with iNaturalist, the data will be available to anybody. And scientists sometimes do use iNaturalist data. One example that I come across often is invasive species or aquatic invasive species, particularly the USGS is an online database of aquatic invasives, and they will regularly pull from iNaturalist if the observations are good enough. There's like a little quality booster. Basically, if a bunch of people all confirm something, it's considered high quality. Versus like if you get a blurry picture or something and nobody knows what it is, it's not gonna count. But well, for what I live here. And the idea is to also get it to be kind of it says a community event. It's a citizen science community event. And it's kind of meant to get people to look at what's outside. We do have a largely urbanized borough. However, you can still find life in urbanized areas. And part of this is looking at that. Part of that's looking at places like Tuckenbergen Park, which is going to be, really is going to be probably the hot spot where a lot of sightings were found. And as the mayor mentioned, I'm also looking into some other places.
You have to also ask the Hunter Land Trust, because even though they're in Raritan Township, the Walnut Brook right there, the other side of it is Flemington private owned. And they may own both sides of it.
I want to say that's the golf course.
No, where the DeBoer house is. House itself. Where the bridge is. And that bridge crosses in Flemington, Raritan to Flemington.
Okay.
But I think they own both sides on their side of the creek.
Okay.
Where the house is, and they may be willing to, because they may be really interested to know what's over there.
Okay. I thought I reached out to them at one point, but I'll reach out to them again because that would be.
I'm actually familiar with iNaturalist. It's used a lot. It's almost like crowdsourcing for scientists. But
Yeah.
I've used it like when you're some of the National Park Service uses it sometimes and asks visitors to the park to log their observations in iNaturalist, and then basically scientists can use this open and joint database for their own research.
Yeah.
How would Liz and I sit on the park committee? Is there anything that we could take from your data, from that experience and utilize it in the park? We've been thinking of doing like a series of nature talk series and things like that.
It might depend on what we find a little bit. Now, something to keep in mind, this is not going to be, it's not going to be what we call quantitative data. We're not measuring things. We're not getting data that comes out in numbers. At the very best, we could probably force some numbers out of it, like, oh, this species was identified the most amount of times and stuff, but it's not, it wouldn't be like, per se, if my company that I work for did a legitimate survey, we're counting stuff and doing it over we're doing it over an area, but at very least you would get a species list and you might get an approximate amount of frequency cited.
A question about the time, and you plan to be in a park. Are you looking at like dusk to dawn?
So that's what we were discussing. And if that's going to end up being a bit of an arduous process, we would keep Tuckenbergen Park to just the daylight hours. So it would be basically just, if we don't do the nighttime, Tuckenbergen Park would be limited to.
All of the sites are a 24-hour site. So they'll have people down at the Bushkill, in North Main. They'll have, which is, right on the sidewalk. They'll have people
realistically, depending on how many people we get, there might not be a lot going out at night at all. You know,
That's too bad, because then you get a herd count of deer.
we might see some during the day, we'll see.
Probably.
The idea is that you're gonna stay up all night, right?
Um,
All nighter at the park, I guess.
It wouldn't be an all nighter, it would be just like, you know, it's the idea that we're gonna do a couple groups. And each group might focus on a couple different things. There will be a birding group, and I know some birds are better heard at night. I don't know if we have any of those here.
There are owls. Yeah.
Oh, there are owls. Okay.
Absolutely, there are.
Okay, and Tucker Morgan Park would be a good place for them, but, that doesn't have to be a Tucker Morgan Park, and I'm kind of gonna leave that up to the group leaders to whether or not they want to do that or not. You know, some of the group leaders won't be available for the full 24 hours. So I don't think we'll actually be pulling an all-nighter, but the period is there to give people an opportunity to, you know, if people even want to just sit on their back porch and listen to what bugs and birds and whatever they get, they're more than welcome to do it. It's all forms of life.
So the environmental commission is a really great idea. You know, there's a lot of embracing of the bio blitz, as like a fun activity to give us some knowledge in town of what's going on. But it really is about keeping you all safe.
Of course.
And, you know that. So would
I
ask.
have, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just had a question. So I'm all about citizen science projects. My daughter's done a few, that's great. But I do just have one question about how you make sure that the people performing this data collection are trained. Like we do have wetlands areas. So how do we, you know, make sure that they're not stepping on wetlands plants, or, you know, are they going through some sort of training process?
One of the person who's going to be heading up the wetland group is actually a coworker of mine. I work for Princeton Hydro. I believe she has, not sure what certification she has, but she's definitely well qualified to do wetland work. She does wetland work all the time with us. So it's something I could look into a little bit more though.
Yeah, please do, because like, for example, for the park cleanup, we're actually having an expert flag the area that volunteers may not go into.
Okay.
So it'd be, and I know Mike isn't here, but I will speak for him. He will make it very clear, DPW, you know, from DPW, that nobody's to go walk into that wetland area.
Okay. Is this wetland area that kind of corner by the school there? Okay. So we can't walk into the
No.
wetlands. We can only go around the edges. Got it.
Any other questions for Jesse? So why don't you work with Carla? She'll get you the email from our insurance company, and you will have to fill out an event permit with Purple McNally so that they know where your people are. And I don't know.
I don't need to know where, just all we'll need to know is general area of working and who the main point of contact
Right.
is. That
And if
way, if
somebody
there's a
calls-
complaint
Right.
and we say, okay, we know who it is, hey, this is gonna. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jesse, what were the dates again?
That will be Saturday, June 22nd to the 23rd on Sunday. And then we're probably gonna, the idea is to do a 12 to 12, and then we'll probably have a before and after meeting at Flemington DIY, which is just gonna be debriefing rules. You know, we're gonna tell people no going on private property without permission. Unfortunately, Mr. Balone did not get his permission to use his space, which is, it's okay. He doesn't want us to, we won't do it.
Well, Hunter Land Trust has the same brook, so maybe they will.
Yeah, and then I think the golf course has it going through them too.
Yeah, that's the divorce, Carol DeVore.
Okay, good.
I can give you her.
Thanks. I may at some point or another be asking you about a couple of different parcels of land, but we can discuss that on the back one. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Of course.
Appreciate it. All right. The second work session is on cottage licenses, which we've been asked by a resident to explore having cottage licenses. Council President Long and I sent this off to our attorney and our planner to look at it. You wanna talk
Sure.
about
So,
it and whether or not they wanna introduce an ordinance on April 8th?
So we'll circulate an ordinance shortly. Beth and I have kind of workshop this together on two different approaches on how to take it, and we're in the final stages. I expect to be done with it Wednesday. I'll circulate it at that time.
Hold that microphone up so much.
I'll circulate it at that time and to the council and we can, I mean.
So talk about the whole premise, because some people don't know anything about what a cottage license is, because it's a recent bill, law by the state.
Yeah, so until Councilman Long first reached out to me about this, I always called it home bakeries. But that isn't expansive, right?
My niece and mom.
So that's baking, right? So cottage food is more appropriate term. So the state, for many years, there was lobbying to get this across the finish line. There's a local role to play here. We have approached it, Beth and I, from a land use perspective, and the licensing perspective. Those are the two, but the land use perspective is gonna be where you guys have some leeway, because, you know, which zones is it permitted in? That's like the real main discussion, I think, which we'll discuss, hopefully. But it's the home bake, what was for years called home bakers.
But usually with the cottage license, you get your license from the state,
Yeah,
not from us.
yeah, I don't think we're adding necessarily a new license.
You're
requirement
adding
here.
one?
I don't think we are adding a new
Okay.
license,
That's
but
what I
there may
wanted.
be some requirement that they provide that as part of compliance.
So what's the discussion on the zone and what zone it should be? allowed?
At this point, my draft has it allowed on all the zones, and I'm looking for the council, if they want to.
So you could have it in a residential zone.
That's kind of the point of it.
And is that a pickup thing? So if I'm baking brownies, people can stop by my house all day and pick up
Yeah,
brownies, or
we
do I
have
have to sell them at Stengel? I mean, how?
No, they can pick it up. We have some provisions in there, idling and whatnot.
I mean, the reality is there's several people in the borough and in Raritan who are already doing it. That's the reality.
We wanna make a.
So, I mean, it's actually happening. And a lot of those individuals will come to like one of the festivals to sell their wares as well. So this has been happening. My understanding, this has been happening for quite some time. This is not kind of new to the borough. So, you know, that's the reality. It's already happening.
And what, if we permit it, like, what kind of liability do we have if somebody gets sick?
We don't have any.
And I also
I
think it's actually a good opportunity for businesses to organically develop, because just like we've seen, like bread and culture has gone from the farmer's market to a brick and mortar. I think it gives a small business an opportunity to get their feet wet, to learn about a business plan, to kind of make their mistakes on a small scale, and perhaps then take a step up and then take a step up. So I think it's actually.
So does
Well,
the health, the
well,
county board of health go and check the kitchen out? Or is that?
Mayor, I think that there would be some oversight there. I want to confirm. That's not in the ordinance, because yeah.
So.
I do know that the state level, there's like a class that people have to take to be
Councilwoman Renee, please repeat what you just said.
Yeah, on the state level, when you get your cottage license, I do know there's a class. There's a class that people have to take for sanitary procedures with their cooking. I did just want to point out too, I know there was an issue in a few months ago with a resident who thought they were operating under a cottage license, but they were really operating a retail shop out of their home. And that was an issue with Dave Giuliani. So like, I think there is important point that we clarify what's allowed and what's not, but in general, the cottage law is a good opportunity for a lot of people.
Well, the fact is, a lot of people cater out of their houses.
Yes.
I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, I did
Well-
it when I was first catering.
And on the state site, there's a whole list of the foods that can be prepared. We're not talking hamburgers and hot dogs. These are things that are, you know, like trail mix and baked goods.
So who polices that to make sure that it
When
doesn't
it's surveyed.
become something different? Is that our property maintenance
What do you
guy,
mean by
zoning
something
officer?
We've seen neighbor reporting primarily.
So,
Yeah, in these instances. Yeah.
okay,
But who goes out and enforces it? Is it code enforcement or?
Oh, yeah, yeah. on reporting would be code enforcement.
Well,
Yeah.
if they're
I mean, you have to make a
operating
call.
it as a,
It would be,
if they're operating it as a retail, if they're operating it
Yes.
legal.
so you would have to, the code enforcement would evaluate it. I mean, even before this started, it was prior to my time in Flemington, with other towns I've been in, there's quite a bit of enforcement related to operating businesses out of one's home. And that's just a zoning, right? And that would still be a zoning here.
What's the I'm just trying to understand, what's the difference? The point of it is that if I'm cooking something in my home for sale, that's retail.
So it becomes a permitted use, we're changing the definition. So right now you have home businesses, home business definition in your ordinance. You're all about to see this, in the document I'm about to circulate. But Beth and I have worked on a companion, a parallel definition for cottage food, which would complement the home business. Home businesses are permitted under certain, in, I think, all your zones, under a certain level of regulation that I think it's a 9-point regulation. That's good. I think it served the borough well. Beth and I are recommending the changes, certainly. So we will now have a parallel structure for home bakers that will have similar regulations.
But that's bakers, but what I'm saying.
Or chefs,
cottage is
chefs.
More than food. right?
Chefs,
Right.
Yeah, the bakers is the antiquated.
Okay.
Isn't
Hey,
it
Tony,
cottage- Isn't it
I think
cottage
to
menu? I'm sorry, isn't a cottage business, I just want to clarify, you can, cook anything, whatever that is, that not necessarily baking, cook something and people come and pick it up from an order, but that's different than a retail, you're where you would walk off the street. There's a big difference.
Well, they do
there.
both. They do both.
So, Tony, just to clarify,
Wait, one time.
The cottage license only allows for pickup, not walking off the
Yes,
street,
it
correct?
says it exactly right. Yes, so you can't have, Tony, with regards to retail, to catering, you're gonna take your wares and drop them off at the catering site, right?
Right.
And that would be something that would probably be permitted here. You can't operate like a little shop, right? That's,
Oh,
I
no,
think, what,
understand that.
that's your point, John.
I can't walk into a house and see a bunch of pastries and say, who are those and who
Yes.
are those?
Yeah,
I have to call them and say,
you
I
will be
want.
getting a visit from the zoning officer.
Right.
And that's when I get back to the idea of neighbor policing, right, which is nosy neighbor stuff that, you see a lot of times parody. But every single town, right? I mean, the entire, every single one of these complaints, we have a lot of them in Bridgewater, and they're all neighbors. They're not our guys in the field patrolling typically. Every once in a while, someone will stumble on something. But 99% of the time, it's a neighbor saying, cash register, right? Someone with a cash register in the garage. These things pop up like mushrooms, sometimes. And this preceded the cottage food, regulation. I mean, a lot of times it's selling all types of things out of one's home.
I want to get to Council Vice President,
but that's-
Renee's question.
she's trying to tell me-
One at a time, please.
She's trying to tell me something.
no, I was trying to clarify what's pretty much been clarified, but yeah, I know that Dave was pointing out the issue with people coming into a residence, say someone turned their living room into a small shop, like you were mentioning, Mayor, that you're gonna go select your items. You then need like proper signage for fire exits and sprinklers and other safety features. Whereas if you're just having something picked up off your porch or if you're delivering, it's a different level of safe, not as many safety concerns.
And there's a whole level of extra, as Councilman Rosati said, excellent, anybody than she did, that are implicated in that.
Let me just go down the line to keep some semblance of order here. Councilman Levin, do you have any comments or questions?
No.
Councilman Parker,
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm just.
Councilman Long, President,
Yep, I'm good.
Councilwoman Sharp, wonderful. Councilwoman Engelhardt,
I'd just like to say that since it is Women's History Month, I think it's really important to provide opportunities for women to develop their own businesses, and I think the cottage licenses is something that's really kind of let that flourish here in the state. So it's a really good thing.
they can do this too.
Oh, I'm not saying they
Zoning
can't.
ordinance.
I'm not saying they can't, but traditionally, it's been more difficult.
But it's also very difficult, and this is who actually is doing it more so. It's the Latino and Hispanic community is doing a lot. So.
Yeah.
you know, to the
Council
point of
Vice
everybody.
President Rossetti, the very knowledgeable one on this?
Yeah, no, the cottage laws almost encompassed honey production sales. That's why I know so much about it, because my husband's a beekeeper. But they decided that was actually under the USDA agricultural. It was removed from cottage laws. But just to give that background. But yeah, I am very much in favor of the cottage laws, as long as we can make sure people are doing it properly and in a safe way. Absolutely.
They just issued pretty stringent guidelines. I'm sure council presenting that stuff. You cannot. You and I talked about this when you first
I
came
don't,
off.
I don't wanna.
We can't, this is the
impinge
municipality
on
cannot.
beekeeping or.
Yeah.
That's
That's a clear part of.
production or, I don't know, it's too important. Okay, so it sounds like there is a clear path that people are interested in seeing it.
There is a document that is in its very final stage.
Okay, so
Like
you'll
one or two
circulate,
more cleanups.
you'll circulate it to the council, for introduction on April 8th. Please, Carla. And, thank you all for that. Chris, thank you, and thank, Beth for the hard work you guys put into this. Okay, we're now up to item 17, public comment number 2. So if you have any comments for the council, please come up, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none. Item 18, payment of bills, authorizing payment of bills in the amount of $2,021,287.16. Can I have a motion, please?
Long will move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fazzari?
Yes.
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council President Vaughn?
Yes.
Councilman Parker?
Yes.
Councilwoman Vice President Rossetti?
Say yes.
Yes.
We do have an executive session, with 2 matters, an update on litigation regarding McGraw Holdings and, an update on where the contract is with Liberty Village. And I have a motion to, go into executive session.
Long
Engelhardt will move.
will second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, we'll take a 10-minute recess for lunch. Look out. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Engelhardt will move.
For a second,
Levitt will second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.